Netflix suffered its first subscriber loss in more than a decade, causing its shares to plunge 25% in extended trading amid concerns that the pioneering streaming service may have already seen its best days. The company's customer base fell by 200,000 subscribers during the January-March period, according to its quarterly earnings report released Tuesday. It's the first time that Netflix subscribers have fallen since the streaming service became available throughout most of the world outside China 6 years ago. The drop this year stemmed in part from Netflix's decision to withdraw from Russia to protest the war against Ukraine, resulting in a loss of 700,000 subscribers. Netflix acknowledged its problems are deep-rooted by projecting a loss of another 2 million subscribers during the April-June period. If the stock drop extends into Wednesday's regular trading session, Netflix shares will have lost more than half of their value so far this year, wiping out about $150 billion in shareholder wealth in less than 4 months. Japan's weakening yen raised further alarm in Tokyo on Wednesday, as the government reported a bigger-than-expected trade deficit, largely due to soaring costs for imports of oil, food and other necessities. The deficit of 412 billion yen for March was lower than the previous month's 670 billion yen, but was quadrupled analysts' estimates, and as a reversal of the 615 billion yen surplus recorded a year earlier for the world's third-largest economy. The weaker yen helps make Japanese exports more competitive overseas and fattens profits when they are converted from dollars to yen, but it also raises costs both for consumers and businesses. Japan's Finance Minister Shunichi Suzuki and other leaders have expressed concern over the dollar's precipitous climb, saying abrupt changes in exchange rates add to business risks. We'll now go on a short commercial break. When we return, Perpetua will be here to bring you more on the news.
Powerful looks command respect, they say. The perfect body, the perfect grooming, and ultimately the perfect skin. Looks, style, and grooming makes the ultimate man. Found a ridiculously easy way to make my skin always feel epic. My name is Neo. I found Blemiviv, and now my skin finally makes sense.
Thank you, Michael. I am Perpetual Fasami Peter. Now the news in detail. The move by the International Criminal Court, ICC, to reform its system as part of efforts to mend relations with African countries is a welcome development and a crucial moment for the continent, the Vice President has said. Professor OSINBAJO stated this on Tuesday when he received the prosecutor of the International Criminal Court, Karim Khan, who was on a courtesy visit to the presidential villa in Abuja. He said a proposal to reform the international justice system would reassure African countries that there is room for negotiations and that the ICC is not just out to witch hunt any individual or organization. The Vice President stressed the need to create a system that builds relationships and credibility among member states, creating a sense that everyone can be treated fairly. The ICC prosecutor in his remarks acknowledged Nigeria's role in Africa and expressed excitement at the visit, saying it comes at a critical time in the history of the continent. Concerned about the myriad of problems which continues to plague us as a nation, a member of the nation's lower legislative chamber representing Iseyin-Tesiwaju Iwajowa Kajola Federal Constituency, Honorable SHINA PELLER, has thrown his heart in the ring for next year's presidential race. The lawmaker who made this disclosure in Ibadan explained that he sincerely aligns himself with persistent clamor by youths from across the country who are calling for a more prosperous nation, as well as a paradigm shift in leadership structure.
This is the time as a nation for us to rewrite the story of Nigeria, not to focus on looking at anybody as a messiah, but for us to understand that our country deserves a system that functions for all. About my posters, scattered around various cities and states of our country, I'm aware of this because I've received a lot of calls over this, and I've been able to have conversations with the group that is responsible for putting out these posters, which are the progressive youths of Nigeria, basically the northern youths. They are clamoring for a young, energetic, vibrant, innovative Nigerian. I will work with my party to ensure that whoever that comes up as the candidate from our party is somebody that has all these quality that has been mentioned, because that is the only quality that we can use to take ourselves out of this mess.
Enough of the youth sitting behind the bar. They should come out. They should come to lead. Almighty Allah doesn't bar elderly one from contesting, but the best thing to do is to let the young ones be beside them. But this time around in this country, Nigeria, if you can't get a young president, let them give us as usual. But we are fighting, we are praying, we are appealing that youth should be given 95% of control of the government.
President Muhammadu Buhari and the National Chairman of the All Progressives Congress, APC, Abdullahi Adamu, are present as the National Executive Committee, NEC, holds an emergency meeting of the party. The President is presiding over the 11th meeting of the NEC. Addressing the committee, the national chairman of the party said the meeting is the first the National Working Committee will be having with the NEC and will begin the process by uniting aggrieved members as well as discussing upcoming elections. Adamu also encouraged members to uphold exemplary behaviors. According to him, the party's intrinsic problem is the crisis fueled by ego. He noted that various egos within the party have widened the gap between the former and serving governors, and it poses a risk of causing a divide in the party and allowing members to suffer. The national chairman called for a discontinuation of the present rancor within the party. Meanwhile, the All Progressives Congress, APC, has revealed that it would begin selling nomination and expression of interest forms for various electoral offices on Saturday, April 23, 2022. The party's National Publicity Secretary, Felix Morka, disclosed this shortly after the 11th National Executive Committee meeting in Abuja on Wednesday. According to Morka, the sale of forms will run from April 23 until May 6, 2022. Similarly, the All Progressives Congress will choose its presidential candidate through an indirect primary election. The decision was reached at the party's 11th National Executive Committee meeting held at the Transcorp Hotel in Abuja. Also, the President, Muhammadu Buhari, and other leaders of the party transmitted their powers to the National Working Committee of the APC to make decisions for a period of 90 days. Among those who will be contesting the APC presidential primary are Vice President Yemi OSINBAJO, former Lagos Governor Bola Tinubu, the Minister of Transportation Rotimi Amechi, Ebonyi State Governor Dave Umahi, and Governor Yahaya Bello of Kogi State. Members willing to participate in the presidential primary election of the All Progressives Congress APC are to pay 100 million naira for the nomination and expression of interest forms. Similarly, the nomination and expression of interest forms for those seeking the party's ticket to contest the governorship election in their respective states cost 50 million naira. APC National Publicity Secretary Felix Morgan announced this on Wednesday at a briefing with reporters in Abuja. The National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, says that Dubai, United Arab Emirates, UAE, had now become the destination of choice for victims of human trafficking. Ondoka Wanwene, Zonal Commander NAPTIP, Benin Zonal Command, made a disclosure on Wednesday in Benin at the commencement of a 3-day sensitization program on human trafficking. Wanwene explained that against the norm where victims of human trafficking were transported by their traffickers by land to their destinations, victims were now air transported. According to him, this is because the human traffickers have stepped up their game and the destination of choice of victims of human trafficking was now Dubai. He noted that human trafficking is not abating in the country because traffickers make so much money from their victims, so they take it as a business. Nobel laureate Professor Wole Soyinka has slammed President Muhammadu Buhari for pardoning former governors Joshua Dariye, Plateau, and Reverend Joel NYAME of Taraba. He likened the president's action to a rotten egg squashed against Nigerians' faces that they would not forget or wipe off soon. Both ex-governors who were convicted and jailed for corruption got pardoned by the National Council of State, NCS, at its meeting last Thursday under the president's prerogative of mercy. But Soyinka, in a statement titled "A Portrait Presidential Easter Egg," opposed the move, saying he shared in the Easter Day criticism of the Buhari administration by the Catholic Bishop of Sokoto Diocese, Matthew Kuka. The Nobel laureate said he was impelled, however, not to miss an opportunity to add his own Easter drop to the overflowing vessel of pietistic sentiments, if only to reassure Christians and also Muslims in turn that even we non-believers do partake of that same ethical communion to which most humanity aspire. The federal government has signed an agreement to host the first global conference on cultural tourism and creative industry in Lagos from November 14 to 17, 2022. Minister of Information and Culture Alhaji Lai Mohammed signed the agreement yesterday in Madrid, Spain, with the Secretary General of the UN World Tourism Organization, UNWTO, Mr. Zurab Pololikashvili. He assured that the country would put together a trailblazing event. He described the signing of the agreement as the clearest indication yet to Nigeria's commitment to hosting a successful conference. The minister said the conference will be held at the National Theatre, Lagos, which is currently being renovated at a cost of $100 million under a partnership between the federal government and the Bankers Committee and Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN. And now we'll take a break. When we return, we'll bring you stories from Africa and the rest of the world. Stay with us.
Most people don't understand the magic of a perfect skin, the allure of a well-pampered skin. We bounce from skincare products to skincare products, from spa to spa. Looking for that ideal solution. I found the solution. And it's Blemiville Skincare and Spa. My name is Neil, and I'm proud to be a part of the Blemiville family.
Glad to know you're still with us. And now from the African scene, the President of the International Criminal Court urges Guinea-Bissau to become a member as proof of the unstable West African nation's commitment to peace. ICC President Piotr Hofmanski told reporters he had come to request the former Portuguese colony to sign the Rome Statute, which is the court's founding treaty. Hofmanski, who was accompanied by Matthias Hellman, ICC External Relations Advisor, told the reporters, quote, "We now have 123 member states of the International Criminal Court, including almost all members of ECOWAS except Togo and Guinea-Bissau. All the others are members." The President, Judge Hofmanski, explained that the ratification of the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court is a signal of commitment to peace, security, and the rule of law. Victims of devastating flooding in South Africa's hard-hit province of KwaZulu-Natal have started to rebuild their homes and their lives. Close to 4,000 homes were destroyed and more than 40,000 people were displaced by the floods and mudslides caused by prolonged heavy rains last week. Nosisang Zumalu, a Dambuza resident and a victim of the floods, was a hard hit, having lost everything and now has to begin life from scratch. On Monday night, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa declared a national state of disaster in response to the flooding, and his government has allocated $67 million to help those affected by floods and that have killed at least 448 people in the eastern city of Durban and surrounding KwaZulu-Natal. On a foreign scene, Russia gave Ukrainian fighters holding out in Mariupol a new ultimatum to surrender by Wednesday afternoon as it pushed for a decisive victory in its offensive in the east, while Western governments promised to give Ukraine more military help. Thousands of Russian troops backed by artillery and rocket barrages were attempting to advance in what Ukrainian officials have called the Battle of the Donbas, a final push by Moscow to seize two eastern provinces it claims on behalf of separatists. Russia's nearly 8-week-long invasion has failed to capture any of Ukraine's largest cities. Moscow was forced to retreat from northern Ukraine after an assault on Kyiv was repelled last month, but has poured troops back in for an assault on the east that began this week. President Joe Biden will convene top U.S. military leaders on Wednesday in an annual White House gathering that takes on special significance as the war in Ukraine enters a risky new phase and the United States plans more military aid. A variety of topics will be discussed by Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, General Mark Milley, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and senior military leaders, a National Security Council spokesperson had said. The event includes a formal West Wing meeting as well as a dinner in the president's residence with leaders' spouses afterward. While the annual military policy meeting rarely makes news, weighty issues are on the agenda this year, topped by a conflict in Ukraine that officials fear could imperil European security for years to come. The United Nations said on Wednesday that it wanted the world to be covered by weather disaster early warning systems within 5 years to protect people from the worsening impacts of climate change. Third world people, mainly in the least developed countries and developing small island states, are without early warning coverage, the United Nations said, emphasizing that 60% of people in Africa were widely open to weather catastrophes. It was gathered the plan would cost $1.5 billion, but the UN insisted it would be money well spent compared to the devastation wrought by meteorological disasters. Well, it's a wrap on this segment. Many thanks for watching. I am Perpetua Fasamipita. It's back to you, Michael.
Thanks, Perpetua. Coming up next, sport business.
Tennis legend Billie Jean King Enterprises, the Los Angeles Dodgers, Elysian Park Ventures, and RGA Ventures are launching a women and sports-focused venture studio called Trailblazer Venture Studio. Partnering with entrepreneurs and companies that prioritize women leaders, athletes, and fans, the Trailblazer Venture Studio will support selected startups with services and connections. King's company will help with relationships, while RGA will add brand expertise, and Elysium will provide a majority of the funds, which will range from $200,000 to $2 million per company. A 2021 Deloitte report found that TV and sponsorship revenue for women's sports are soon expected to pass $1 billion globally. The 3-month program starts in August and will help 6 to 8 companies in sectors including, but not limited to, media, culture, storytelling, health, fitness, and well-being. Still talking sports business at this hour, on Tuesday, officials cut the ribbon on the new $338 million arena for the University of Texas Longhorns men's and women's basketball teams, which is the latest multi-million-dollar college sports venue. The Modi Center was funded by a $130 million donation from the Modi Foundation, as well as the Oakview Group, Matthew McCauley, and Live Nation. The Austin, Texas venue replaces the Frank Erwin Center, which was 45 years old. The arena can seat about 15,000 and is 530,000 square feet. It will host concerts as well as college basketball games, and the Moody Center is one of several new expensive venues that will either open or is being built this year. Across the United States, about $1.4 billion will be spent on college sports venues, with those finishing construction this year also gulping about $1.87 billion. And finally, on sports business at this hour, the game, platform, and metaverse known as The Sandbox is considering raising roughly $400 million in fresh capital, which would value the platform at more than $4 billion. Owned by software and venture firm LAWMAKER Brands, The Sandbox is looking to raise capital from new and existing investors, with plans to use the funds to expand its workforce and make acquisitions. No details have been finalized, and the size of the round could depend on how the opportunity is received by potential investors. The desire to secure fresh capital follows The Sandbox raising $93 million in a Series B funding round last November. It was led by SoftBank's Vision Fund 2, its first investment in crypto assets, and included Liberty City Ventures, Samsung Next, and other investors. In January, LAWMAKER Brands raised $360 million, valuing the firm at $5.4 billion. To date, the Hong Kong-based company has raised roughly $700 million in total capital. And that's it on sports business. I'm Samson Olede.
And that's it on Business Now from Vibrant TV Lagos. Thanks very much for watching. I'm Michael Nath.